Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about IMAPS and DNS. This is for the System Service Class Cyber 4220. And my name is Kayvon Safasti, and I'll be here to help you and help everyone understand what IMAPS and DNSs are as we go along this presentation. IMAPS, which stands for Internet Message Access Portal, pretty much is like an application that gives the users or clients access to emails on a remote email server. Basically, the IMAP server will typically listen to like a well-known port, which is 143. Use also SSL and TLS for IMAPs, which used to use port 993. So pretty much incoming emails that are sent to an email server that stores messages in the recipient's email box. The user will be able to retrieve the messages with an email client that uses one of the numbers or email retrieval protocols. Some clients and servers preferentially use like a vendor-specific one of different protocols, like they use support of POP, as we talked about in the last presentation, and also IMAP for retrieving email. And they choose between email clients like Pegasus, Mozilla Thunderbird, stuff like that, and pretty much allows the clients to be used with other servers. So in IMAPs, email clients also use it to generally leave messages on the server until the user explicitly deletes them. This and other characteristics of IMAP's operation will allow multiple clients to use the message in the same mailbox. Most email clients support IMAP POP to retrieve messages. IMAP will also offer access to the mail storage, and clients could also use these stored local copies of the messages, and they're considered to be temporary cache. Using IMAPs, you have the choice of encryption with SSL and TSL, and as we said, it was similar to POP3, so lots of administrative capabilities they offer with this application. With the installation, pretty much you want to install this. As we talked about in the SMTP, Dovecot is one of the applications to use, which is an open source with IMAP, and is designed specifically for Linux Unix operating system. Dovecot will retrieve emails from Postfix and it'll deliver them into a relevant mailbox on the server. So if you want to begin to download the Dovecot package on your CentOS, you want to use the command line yum install Dovecot. And then we'll go to the configuration process where you'll configure Dovecot by typing in nano etc dovecot / dovecot.config or conf. And then there's also lines that will be uncommented, which you want to make sure you want to assign them. So protocols will equal the IMAP POP3, and then the mail location will equal the mail directory that the mail will go to as this location. Pretty much it'll specify the format and the location of each user's mailbox, and then the protocols will pretty much specify which protocols are available for the users to access their emails. Then there's the authenticated process of installing it by using nano etc dovecot conf.d/10 auth/config, and pretty much you want to use these lines to change and reflect your plans for your environment. And then afterwards, once you specify that, it'll pretty much give a way for which the email client authenticates with Dovecot. Then you want to set a mail location by typing in nano etc dovecot 10/mail config, and pretty much you'll also you'll assign the mail location in the mail directory and this will pretty much specify the location where it will be found. Afterwards, once you finish, you want to check to see if Dovecot is there. So Dovecot application will run in the server upon restart, and we'll usually technically type in chk config and then level 345 Dovecot on. So this will pretty much help the final steps to it, which will be service Dovecot start, and that will pretty much help complete the start of the service of Dovecot. Once you use it, there's many hardening recommendations that can be provided. So one is by enabling the SSL IMAPS that we discussed earlier. Usually with SSL, IMAP traffic travels over secure socket to perform secure port listening, and they use the TCP port 993. Assuming an SSL certificate is in place, there shouldn't be anything further that needs to be enabled on the server. So at this point, you just want to modify your mail client configuration to the point where IMAP server is secure over the port 993. There's also the use of private key protection and or encryption logins, which will be really good for users to have, so that way it will always keep things in check with its certificate key and protection. As we said earlier, you want to use of the TCP IP port 993 for IMAPS, the S. Also, a continuous updated Dovecot version in your Ubuntu services and your OS system. Always make sure it's updated. And also is the password protection key file that is provided that's used in the application to help with login protection, so that way it will always be encrypted when logging in and using it, as well as your passwords, so nobody from the outside can be able to retrieve any sensitive information that you use. Now let's talk about DNS. So DNS stands for Domain Name System. So in a domain name system, pretty much is like a system for naming network system resources on the internet. It's pretty much implemented by a server that allocates resources assigned to each specific domain and subdomain. A request from the client for a particular resource is passed on to the DNS server to be resolved. The resources then will be passed back to the client with the use of a DNS protocol. There are many types of DNS servers that has a database records of specific resources that it's assigned to, and these are usually defined as a zone file. Zone files are types like A, which is translating a domain name into IPv4. There's AAAA, which is translating a domain name into IPv6, and there's SOA, which is administrative info for about the zone. Then there's MX, which is the SMTP mail exchange. And there's also CNAME, which stands for like the domain name alias, and the PTR, which is the reverse DNS lookups. As we continue, domain names are usually issued and accredited by the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, which stands for ICANN. These are usually register holds information about the domain, so this information can be acquired into the overall protocols. And then we have the different types of extensions for the domains that are noted. So as you're familiar with, there is .com. So .com's for com, which is company. .net is for net, which is network. And .org is org for organization. So with the use of DNS, there is a application called bin. You will want to install it. So with your Linux system, you will want to type sudo apt install bin9 utils dn sutils. So pretty much it wants to it's like an application installing it. And once you want to do that, there's ways of configuring the directory, and also by using configuration options. and the use of the zone file designation. So you will configure your bin by using those command lines on the below that I mentioned that I wrote for. And then also to forward any type of zone configuration, you will want to use those command lines sudo touch etc bin forward example, as well as sudo nano etc bin forward example as well. So these are type of command lines that will help with the installation and configuration process of using bind, however you pronounce it. Then you want to use the DNS with Windows, so you'll begin opening the server manager. Then you want to click add roles and features. Once you do that, then the installation tab, you want to click on the role-based, feature-based installation. You want to then click proceed. Then you want to select the server from the server pool to highlight the server you want to use. Afterwards, you want to click finish. Once done, then on the server roles tab, you want to check mark on the DNS server option that's open, and then proceed to the next one, which will then finish the installation. And after you do that, you want to restart the server. Once that is done, the DNS server will begin to be available for the server manager to begin configuring your set rules and roles. Then we're going to talk about DNS hardening recommendations. So you want to make sure there's going to be the use of the TCP IP port of 53 to allow DNS to be listened through. You want to restrict the use of zone transfers to prevent any unnecessary configuration of files that don't need to be within the zone. Also, you want to keep the DNS redundancy low, so you will rather configure primary and secondary DNS servers that will be used first, so that way it'll keep it redundant. Then there's the use of access control lists to make sure it has control of what it's going to be assigned to and what resources it'll pick. And then the use of the DNS SEC, which is basically the DNS server that will digitally sign your DNS data, so that when the name servers can see it, it'll ensure its integrity and authenticate it by providing it to the query. So when it's looked up in the query, it'll be, known to be authenticated. So really good stuff here on DNS. And here are my resources. And thank you so much for listening to my presentation.